I'm
Hello,
Takoa. I'm
Sive,
18,
19.
and
Isabella,
I'm
22.
19.
My name is
They, them.
Kale.
I'm Sierra.
Candace,
21.
Sive.
22.
My name is
Pronouns
Jessie.
they,
I'm
them.
22. My
He,
pronouns
him.
are they, them.
I'm Dan,
Uh,
19.
my
I
name
use
is
they
Jack.
pronouns.
Rusty.
19.
21.
And
her,
them.
I'm 19.
She, they, he. In that order. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I can spot another queer a mile away, because you're gonna see the chunky chains, the big earrings, things that are earrings that aren't usually earrings, like pencils, toilets, weird stuff like that. What else? What else? I don't know. Usually a vape.
Okay, yeah.
Usually a vape.
I
Mentally
got
ill.
one. It's always the shoes, the boots. They gotta be chunky. They gotta be the chunkiest of shoes. Check their docs. Make sure they have like the extra thick platforms. Jewelry. What else? No,
Sorry.
how they refer to other people. Usually one thing is like right off the bat they are using gender neutral language is a number one thing for me that makes me go, oh, let me see if they're queer.
It's like you like smell it on them. I don't know. It's weird. It's just kind of an instinct thing. I think there are cultural markers for it. Colored hair, just general things that are considered like social outcasty, whatever.
I don't know. I go off of vibe, to be honest with you. Like, I can just kind of feel. My gaydar, I think, is pretty good.
True, I've always said my gaydar is great. Although college has definitely put it to the test.
Yeah.
That boy right there, Dylan, love that man. Wish he was gay. I was projecting onto him. Hey, Dylan! Dylan! Oh my gosh, he was so incredibly nice to me. He was really understanding, and he gave me really good hugs.
Like, all of my friends right now are queer. Yeah. Like, I have no straight friends besides my boyfriend. Ew. Not you. I love him so much. He's my entire life in my world. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it took a while for me to get used to him rather than, like, being around my best friends who are all queer.
Their voice, visual. I feel like it's a vibe.
The way they talk.
I feel like a lot of the time, queer people tend to be more, like, open to things and, like, open-minded.
Like this.
Like, you can tell when a straight person like talks.
A straight person's like, hey! And queer people are like,
When I think about getting older as a queer person, two things really come to mind. One is, am I gonna feel like a victim of society, or am I going to take pride in who I am and embrace the joy of being and just of being alive? And the other thing is, am I going to have people with me? Am I gonna have like a person, a partner? How soon am I going to find that? A sense of permanence? And am I gonna have friends? Am I gonna feel like I belong in a community? Am I going to feel like I am one of them?
Being someone who is queer and, like, loves and is attracted to all people, it's really, like, worrying for me to, like, try and constrict myself into, like, a conventional, like, marriage. Like, marrying a man, I love my boyfriend with my whole heart and soul, but there's a part of me that also is like, what if I could have ended up with a different person? Because, like, loving a man is different from loving a woman. Like, woman loving woman, different from a man loving. It's all different, and I don't want to miss out on that.
So I worry a lot about being understood by colleagues. And being respected by colleagues. I'm a black queer person. Gender is a thing where if you want to socially transition, you gotta tell people. You've gotta be like, this is real.
I guess if I'll be respected in the workplace, because I identify as non-binary. So there have been times, I once had a transphobic manager when I worked at Panera Bread. And also just like, if people are gonna hate me for who I am and how I identify.
Legislation, bro. Like, queer people are being like legislated out of existence in multiple states, many states. Kids aren't going to grow up in comfortable environments, and they won't be able to like fully understand what they like until maybe it's too late.
I guess I just worry about, like, going backwards in any way, like in terms of, recent violence against queer people. Like, I want people to love their neighbor and, like, wake up, that, like, we're all just people, and it really, like, doesn't matter. Like, none of this should matter,
I dress pretty queer, but I don't think that I have a lot to worry about personally, if I'm being completely honest with you. Because I think if I really wanted to, I could be straight passing, as could a lot of queer people, because you grow up having to do that.
I used to just have this discussion with my other friend who's trans. I'm non-binary. I use they, them pronouns. And like we would always have this discussion about like if the world went into total anarchy, how both her and I would be like very visibly queer, and how we would likely not survive like a week in the purge because we would just get like fucking shot.
So I'm out here skating in the summertime. It's 90 degrees out. I got asthma. I'm wearing a fucking binder. I'm passing out. And it had me thinking, what am I going to be wearing this binder every day until I'm 95? I've been wearing this binder for 2 years and I'm already irritated. What about 60? When I first came out, I did not know that non-binary people could, quote, could get top surgery, because binders are not comfortable, and like I am in physical pain almost every day now because of wearing them. That's not a decision that I want to have to make for the rest of my life, is mental comfort over physical pain.
Different from our like heterosexual counterparts. It's mostly that. It's like I just don't know what like life looks like because I haven't seen enough elderly queer people in life yet to really know, because it's like it seems like are still like dealing with the effects of the marginalization of queer people from their youth that they've carried with them, and I just wonder like what it'll look like for us in the future.
I don't have a lot of people or places that I go to or that I think I can go to for advice just on the queer experience.
I don't. No. I grew up like a really strict Christian. So I wasn't around any older queer people.
Honestly, there's not that many. Like you have to just meet other gay people that have been through it. I don't have any I can't think of one gay older person that I know.
The older queers I know, it's like everything is so hidden. I've noticed, like always keep like a very low profile.
I do have one aunt that I just I realized very, very late into my life was queer. No one ever told me that's her wife. They're married to each other and they have a kid. And I don't even feel necessarily comfortable speaking to that aunt because I'm still in limbo as to whether or not that's actually her wife. There is really not any physical affection or verbal affection or any kind of I don't see it. They look like two best friends. For all intents and purposes. Of course they talk to each other, but they're not, they don't talk to each other the way a husband and a wife do. She's also a Southern woman, and if I approach her, I'm afraid that I would offend her.
I think it is kind of unfortunate how there's not many resources for therapy for queer related subjects.
And I didn't know what that was because I didn't have anybody to talk to. I didn't have anybody that said, hey, here's this thing where maybe you have a different gender than how you were. I didn't know about that until I found the internet.
Social media, which is a very complicated place and very negative for a lot of people, but it gave me a context through which to start accepting my sexuality and start to believing that things that I wanted to do or habits that I had, thoughts that I had weren't strange, that they could be part of my identity.
No, but no, it is definitely dangerous, but I think if you really go in and you make a point to stay anonymous, it can be very helpful.
I've always been friends with older people, so I have a good amount of friends that are older that I've always been able to be confide in and whatnot. But
how did you meet these older friends?
They came to me, which honestly I was
Not lucky.
no, not lucky at all. You got to be careful about that because I did get groomed a couple times, and that's kind of how it goes, unfortunately. But I don't know. I still definitely appreciate their guidance.
Another, I guess, place where I can get advice is my mom. She's fought for me and my pronouns online when people are against it. I don't know, even though she's straight, she's a really good ally, and I feel I can talk to her about any queer issue, and she'll listen.
My cousin is trans. She's struggled through a lot. Just in my family, though. My family is very, dismissive. I wouldn't say we would go to each other for advice. I don't think we're that close. I'd love to be more close to her, but she is in her, 40s, and we don't really see each other much. But, yeah. She's older. Yeah, no.
If there's anybody who could give us advice on this, who would it be? Oh my god. Okay, he's not gay, I don't think, but he seems very fruity. Matthew Gray Gubler, Like, I feel like he's for the gays and the girls, and I feel like he's just very wise. Like, he just seems like he'd know what to say. Like, Dr. Spencer Reed seems like he would know what to say.
So that's why sometimes I don't gear towards older generation's perspective. I want to stay in the perspective of moving forward. Because some older queer generations are all the way back, and I don't find a reason to reach out to that when there are voices that are fighting for our rights now who are part of our generation.
I don't know if I've ever met like a queer elder per se. I'm not really sure. It's sad. We should see more queer elders.
In this friendly world. In this friendly world. With the sky so full of joy. With the sky so full of joy. Everyone should be so thankful. Everyone should be so thankful. As you walk through your journeys in discovering your own gender and sexuality, remember that the gay parade will always be happy to have you, and you are welcome to return to it at any time. Thank you for joining us on the Gay